Hello everybody, Jake here and welcome to the hobby. In today's video we are talking about the pull rates for Black Bolt and White Flare. The English Black Bolt and White Flare. These Pokemon card sets have a bunch of illustration rares inside of it. One illustration rare for every single Unova Pokemon, so there are a lot of awesome cards that people want to pick up from these sets, especially with the brand new Monochrome cards that are being released inside of these sets. We got ourselves Zekrom, Reshiram, and Victini as the first three Monochrome cards. Overall, these sets look really solid with illustration rares, special illustration rare, Pokeball holographic reverse, Master Ball holographic reverse, and as well a new tier of rarity of Monochrome cards. I think a lot of people are going to be excited to pick up Black Bolt and White Flare. And that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video, which is specifically the pull rates for those 5 specific aspects, which is the Pokeball, Master Ball, illustration rare, special illustration rare, and Monochrome cards. The pull rates for these 5 different kind of cards inside of Black Bolt and White Flare will make the determination whether these sets are going to be good or fun to rip open or not, which a lot of people are excited to rip open. Based on the amount of illustration rares inside, there were rumors that there was going to be 1 illustration rare inside of every single booster pack. And I said, no, that doesn't seem very likely. And that's just based on what the Pokemon company has done historically. Our best pull rate ever was inside of Crown Zenith. Inside of Crown Zenith, you would pull yourself 1 illustration rare or alternate art card from the Galarian Gallery inside of every single 3 booster pack. So if you were to rip open a Crown Zenith Elite Trainer box, you typically pull yourself 3 Galarian Gallery cards, and that's actually a lot of fun. It's actually one of the reasons why Crown Zenith is considered such a highly desirable set. It's because if you rip open an ETB in general, you typically get some decent hits or some cool looking cards at the very minimum, whereas with other ETBs, because the pull rates for illustration rares are typically between 1 inside of every single 12 booster packs to, if you're lucky, 1 in 10 booster packs. If you rip open an ETB, you might pull only 1 illustration rare, or sometimes you'll pull nothing good, which is not fun. So based on our knowledge of the amount of cards inside of this set, we would want a really decent pull rate. And based on the data pulled from PokeBeach, other subreddits, as well as my own personal data, we have some really good numbers on the pull rates. It looks like my pull rates are the exact same as the ones that were released on PokeBeach. So if you want to see a detailed guide to Black Bolt and White Flare, highly recommend you check them out. I look like I'm copying their numbers. I'm not. I'm just collaborating that my numbers matches PokeBeach's numbers, but these numbers are not directly from PokeBeach. So first off, we got ourselves the pull rates for Pokeball and Master Balls. These are pretty standardized. I expected this to be exactly the same as the pull rates from Prismatic Evolutions, which also has Pokeball and Master Ball holographic reverse, and it looks like for Black Bolt and White Flare, they typically have the exact same pull rates, which is Pokeballs. You will typically find a Pokeball holographic reverse inside of every single 1 in 3 booster pack, which is pretty much the exact same pull rate as our old holo rare. So in my world, I kind of see Pokeball holographic reverse as the new holo rare cards. In terms of chase, pretty much, a Pokeball holographic reverse doesn't really contain much value. The next tier up would be the Master Ball holographic reverse, and these are actually quite rare. You're going to pull yourself 1 Master Ball holographic reverse inside of every single 1 in 20 booster packs, which means if you rip open 2 Elite Trainer box, Black Bolt and White Flare, you're typically going to see yourself 1 Master Ball. That's all fine and dandy. My biggest issue with the Pokeballs and Master Balls is really the holographic reverse pattern. They're actually going back to the 151 holographic reverse pattern from Japanese 151. I actually really like the textured Pokeball and Master Balls from Prismatic Evolutions, and I would rather they do those for Black Bolt and White Flare. I'm assuming to save costs on additional texturings and layers, they had to make some cuts in the Pokeball and Master Ball category, and I'm okay with that if it means we get illustration rare. So that's the real big draw of Black Bolt and White Flare, is going to be how often do you pull the illustration rares and how often do you pull the monochrome cards. And right now, based on the numbers, it's kind of in between. It's better pull rates than prior sets for illustration rares, but it's not good enough to meet the demand for the amount of cards you need to pull from Black Bolt and White Flare. Before we dive into the pull rates for the illustration rare, I'd like to thank PokeNotify for sponsoring today's video. If you've been struggling to find Pokemon card products at retail price because everything seems to be sold out, whether it's on the Walmart website, Costco, Pokemon Center, wherever you look, then I highly recommend you at least give PokeNotify a try. PokeNotify is an awesome service that will notify you immediately when there is a restock available at all of these different shopping websites. Whether you're shopping on Amazon, Best Buy, GameStop, or the Pokemon Center, PokeNotify's got your back to let you know immediately when there's a new drop of Pokemon cards at retail price. Check them out today so you no longer have to refresh empty storefronts looking for stock when they aren't there. PokeNotify is an awesome service and they offer a 3-day free trial risk-free. They also offer international service, whether you are living in Canada, UK, wherever you live. PokeNotify has service for you across the whole entire globe. Also check them out on Instagram because they give you the latest news on all of the most recent drops. So based on the pull rates for Black Bolt and White Flare, you can typically expect one illustration rare inside of every single 6 booster pack, which means if you rip open an ETB, on average you get yourself 1.5 illustration rare. That's right, you get 1 illustration rare and half of a second illustration rare. Maybe they'll just rip it in half and give 1 to one person and 1 to the other. But no, really, the pull rate is literally 1 in 6 booster packs, so on average that's actually better than what we see in prior sets. Most other sets, such as Destined Rivals, Stellar Crown, we can't count Prismatic Evolutions because Prismatic Evolutions didn't have illustration rare, which is actually one of the biggest cons that I listed for Prismatic Evolutions. But in general, for most other Pokemon card sets, you get yourself 1 illustration rare in 12 booster packs. So they did double the pull rates for the illustration rares inside of Black Bolt and White Flare, which is great news overall, but it's not good enough. I would much rather Black Bolt and White Flare have the exact same kind of pull rates as the Galarian Gallery, which is basically you pull 1 illustration rare in every 3 booster pack. I think that is actually the optimal number for Black Bolt and White Flare. So I actually see a lot of people are not happy with the pull rates because basically there is 150 illustration rares inside of Black Bolt and White Flare, which means if you were to open up every single illustration rare once and never get a repeat, you would still need to open up 900 booster packs, and that's just really unfair. That's a lot of booster packs to complete this set. Not to mention there's Pokeball Holographic Reverse, Master Ball Holographic Reverse, and so much more. For you to get a master set of Black Bolt and White Flare, there's 800 unique cards. It's just too much. This is a gargantuan task. And overall, I think because the pull rates for the illustration rares are still not good enough, the most expensive and desirable illustration rares will still find their way to be quite expensive over time. It'll be interesting to see which ones those are. For the special illustration rare, which there are a bunch of really cool special illustration rares inside of both Black Bolt and White Flare again, the Zekrom and the Reshiram are 2 of the key ones that a lot of people are interested in. They did a great job making the Zekrom and Reshiram special illustration rare look really, really solid. The pull rates for the SIR looks to be about 1 in every single 70 to 80 booster pack, which is just normal special illustration rare pull rates. In general, for most other Pokemon card sets, you pull yourself 1 SIR inside of every single 70 to 80 packs. So super generic pull rate for the SIR. They did not improve that at all. Finally, the big one is going to be the Monochrome cards, and these are going to be the most expensive chase cards inside of both Black Bolt and White Flare. The key here is that the Victini, the red Monochrome card, is available inside of both Black Bolt and White Flare. Doesn't matter which ETB or which packs you rip, you always have a chance of pulling the Victini, which typically means the Victini is going to be the most affordable of the 3 because you can pull yourself the Victini inside of both Black Bolt and White Flare, but the Zekrom and Reshiram are version exclusive to their set, kind of like the games. So basically, if you want the Reshiram, you have to open up White Flare. If you want the Zekrom, you have to open up Black Bolt. Victini is available in both, which means its value should be roughly cut in half, maybe even more, because most people are going to be chasing the more harder pulls. So the Zekrom and the Reshiram Monochrome cards are going to have a little bit of a premium. What's the pull rates for the Monochromes? We don't really know that well. That's actually the shakiest data of all because it's really hard. Basically, right now, based on my data at least, it looks like the Monochrome cards, you pull 1 inside of every single 400 to 600 booster packs, which is still quite a bit of booster packs to pull yourself a Monochrome card. but it's not impossible. It's just really, really hard. It's absolutely a new tier above the SIR in terms of how often you pull it. The other theory was that it would have just been the exact same pull rate as an SIR, but that's not what it looks like. The monochromes are absolutely a harder pull than the normal special illustration rare. Every single 400 to 600 booster pack, you're going to pull one monochrome card, so they are really big chases. Overall, it's still better than, I would say, Prismatic Evolutions, because inside of Prismatic Evolutions, because of the amount of SIR inside of the set, you can rip open 1,000 booster pack and you're still not that likely to see a single Umbreon EX. You're not even likely to see half of the EVs inside of 1,000 booster packs. So it's really quite unfortunate. And I am happy with these pull rates, at least, because I think they're better than what I expected. Before looking at the data, if you had asked me what the pull rates for the illustration rares I predict would be, I would have said it was 1 in 9 booster packs, because basically in the Japanese set, they added 1 extra illustration rare inside of the Japanese booster boxes. So they raised the pull rate by 33%. So I expected them to do the same with us. Normally, the pull rates for illustration rares 1 in 12 packs, so if you improved it by 33%, you're looking at 1 in every 9 pack having an illustration rare. But they improved it even better than that, so it's 1 in 6, which is still really good pull rate, but it's just not quite there. I think if you're ripping open a lot of Black Bolt and White Flare, overall, you're probably still going to get burned. But if this is a set that you're excited about, I'm at least happy with these pull rates, that they're not absolutely atrocious. They're very solid, they're better than average, but they're just not good enough to meet the level of pulls that you're going to expect from a top tier pack opening experience like Crown Zenith. Overall, still very middle of the road. I'm happy to see that the Victini is inside of both Black Bolt and White Flare. I think that makes total sense. The other option was that they would have made the Victini an ultra premium collection exclusive down the line. That was the other option. But this is completely what I expected to happen, is that a lot of Japanese prize cards ultimately come over to English as normal cards. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are on the pull rates for Black Bolt and White Flare, and I'll see you guys next time.